What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Great Lakes Outdoors podcast. Today we got a very special one. Me and Alyx are in the studio with my dad and a special guest. First, before we introduce the special guest, how are you guys doing?
Really good. Glad to be here.
Super good. We're gonna have a fun day tomorrow. We got most of our crew in here in the room, and we're gonna have a good day tomorrow. I'm excited for it.
I'm just not looking forward to how hot it's going to get in this room here.
Yeah,
because it's going to get hot with this many people in here. But tomorrow's our opening day, and we have the owner of Migra, Mark, here with us today. Mark, how's it going?
It's good, and I'm really happy to be here. And thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming up and driving 16 hours in the last 2 days.
Yeah, it's been a road, but I've enjoyed it. I've wanted to come see you and your dad now for a couple seasons, and
finally glad it finally got to happen.
I'm very happy it's come together. You guys are great, and I've been really looking forward to meeting you face to face.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a pleasure. That's for sure. You kind of want to just introduce yourself, and I mean, pretty much everybody that listens to our podcast knows about Migra, but they don't know the face behind Migra.
Well, there's a couple faces. Right, and I think that's the strength of Migra. There's a lot of faces behind Migra, and in the end, you're only as good as the people that you have around you. And I know that a lot of people know Wade Shoemaker. Right, he's a special guy, and he is our ambassador that kind of manages all the relationships in the hunting community and in all the hunting industry. And I don't think there's anybody that doesn't know Wade or Wade doesn't know. And then his compatriot on the boat ramp tour, right? You know, that's Q-Tip, who's one of my, good friends and battle buddies. And then, of course, you got Drew. Now, Drew, a lot of people don't know Drew as much. Drew is the founder of Migra.
Okay. And
he knew there was a better way to make steel perform, right? And passionate duck hunter. Mm-hmm. And he lives in a little town, Gaffney, South Carolina, where Q-Tip is from. And so you've got, Drew's, I'm not going to say he's shy, because he's not. But unlike a lot of people in the industry, he doesn't seek the limelight, right? He just cares about hunting ducks. That is what Drew cares about. He doesn't care about anything else. Well, he cares a lot about his people, but that's his thing. And so we've got a good team. We're based out of Charleston, South Carolina, which is a couple hours south from where Drew originally designed Migra, and moved to Charleston. And like any small company, you start in a garage and gets into a warehouse and grows from there. And so we've got a really good team of people. We built a new facility in Dover, Tennessee. So we're between Dover and Charleston.
What got you involved with Migra, with Drew starting it off? What got you? Sure.
Well, I guess it was a couple years into it. So 2.5, 3+ years into it. I hadn't really retired, but I had sold my company, and Drew and I met through a mutual friend. I was handed a box of Migra at my duck club. He said, "You need to meet this kid." He's not a kid; he's in his 30s, but he said, "You got to meet this guy." And I put it in my gun, and I was like, "Wow, this thing thumps!" And had a really nice hunt with them. I was knocking birds down, probably because I'm not the best shot in the world, and they're so quick that it was helping me out a little bit, right? And so, to make a long story short, Drew and I met. We started having lunch a couple times a week at a little place called Tzatziki's, just talking about the business and some of the intricacies of manufacturing and the intricacies of supply chain. And it sounded really exciting to me. And he and I got to respect and like Drew a lot. I loved the product. I loved the brand. And I said, maybe I can help. Maybe I can help. And so we struck a deal, and I came on, and kind of the rest is history. A lot of hard work, but it's been a good thing.
It's pretty crazy.
It's pretty wild.
How everything just kind of falls together. I mean, the right people and
There's that serendipity, right? If I had met him 2 years prior, it wouldn't have been right. But it was that right moment in time, and he was ready for a guy like me. Look, I got gray hair. Everybody knows this. I'm the old guy, and it was just a really good time. And I come from a building background. I'm used to making things with my hands, making things with machines. So, although I'm not going to say at the time I was an energetics consultant or professional of any kind, but making things is making things.
right.
And there's a precision to it, and there's an art to it. Heck, you make Mustangs, right?
Yep.
And so it's been good. We're learning every single day. Every single day we're learning.
That's a big thing too for every company out there. It just seems like, I mean, if you take a step back or slow down at all, you're going to be way behind. I mean, you got to keep that. You want to keep learning and not just stay stagnant with everything.
You have to keep and obviously, like we talked about, I know that from the corporate world, you got to keep your foot on the gas, especially when you're introducing a new product to a saturated market. You have to keep your foot on the gas.
You do. You've got to be thinking about what's next,
Right.
while not taking your eye off the ball of what you got to achieve today. Look, this is an extremely competitive business. Mm-hmm. Let's face it. You've got big legacy brands,
Right.
and their ability to buy significant sections of the marketplace, whether they buy up all the gunpowder or what have you, they're very, very powerful companies. And then you've got the smaller guys like us, like Boss, like Apex, to which I am all friends.
Right.
I have a philosophy, and I don't mean to meander here,
No.
but like the craft brew business, they didn't look at themselves as competitors. They looked at the big guy as the competitor, and they said, you know what, let's start buying hops together. Let's start doing things together. And then from that, they grew. So you've got to be thinking about the next thing, but you also got to be thinking about who you're going to ally yourself with and how those allies are going to help propel your business.
It's pretty much like kind of one of our sponsors, GK Calls, like the call company that we use. When Glenn was growing up, he'll tell us stories about going with Tim Grounds and all these like big time, got Sean Stahl, Scott Trine, and all these guys out to dinner and stuff, and everybody was just one big family and everybody grew together instead of being like kind of what it is today. It seems like a lot of these companies are separated, like it's more of a competition. I got to do better than you, so people just need to realize that it doesn't need to be that way.
It really doesn't.
Right.
Doesn't need to be so cutthroat,
It absolutely doesn't. Look, you can either look at it as I want a piece of an existing pie, or you can look at it as what can I do to grow the pie.
Right.
And I think that's how we look at it. My entire team, and Drew and I and our entire team look at it that way.
Everybody wants a piece of the pie.
They do. They sure do.
Everybody wants a piece of the pie.
They sure do. And when you start disrupting the market,
Oh yeah.
You're the bad guy.
that's when they start coming for you.
Oh yeah.
That's when they start.
I know that
coming
all
for
too
you.
well.
Yeah. I bet.
That's basically the waterfall world, though. I mean, you start going into somebody else's territory, fields, marsh, whatever it may be, and just because they're slacking a little bit, and you see a gap that you can shoot and expand for yourself, that like you said, you're the bad guy.
Honestly, it's my whole life. Between work and hunting, it's disrupting the market.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just what
Milwaukee sure has.
And that's it. And it's just, it can be very cutthroat. 100%.
What got you into like hunting? You grow up waterfowl hunting, or
I didn't. I grew up in a city.
okay?
My father was a FBI agent, so I grew up around firearms and shooting, but I didn't grow up hunting. And I was in college my freshman year in a dorm when a guy named Dewey Acton, who I didn't really know, but I didn't know anybody. None of us knew nobody. We were all piled up in this damn dorm. We didn't know nobody.
Right.
And Dewey, this is University of South Carolina, and Dewey lived in Greenwood, and I'll never forget it. He came down, he said, and they called me Regal Butt. And because no one can pronounce my last name.
Me and Alex were trying to do it for 2 hours yesterday.
Yeah,
We had a running
like,
bet on the
hey,
way it was pronounced.
Yeah, Regal Butt, man, we're gonna go hunt. You want to come? I'm like, I had nothing to lose by saying I never been before, and I don't got nothing.
Right.
But they were, don't worry about it. We got you, man. We got you. What size shoe you wear? You need some waders. Let me call my dad, see if there's some waders. Wait a minute. You know how to shoot a shotgun? I'm like, yeah, I know how to shoot a shotgun. I never shot at no bird before.
Right.
But that's how I got introduced to it in hook.
Wow.
Done.
Every time.
Every time.
Yep.
And it was that whole dog full moon. I'll never forget it. A beautiful full moon. You could see the birds coming in before shooting time, and the dog is whimpering, and it was just phenomenal. And I'll never forget it. And then when the dog was working, and I got lucky on a couple shots, and it was great.
It's kind of how my story kind of was with waterfowl. I grew up deer hunting wise, and nobody in the family even waterfowl hunted at all. No ducks, no geese, no nothing.
Nothing.
And got, like somebody wanted me to go out multiple times with them. I turned it down because I wanted to go deer hunting. Finally, they convinced me to go with them, and I went one time, and here we are today. Like, it was just one of those things, like you said, like, amazed by everything. How can you tell that duck is that duck, it's a crazy different world from.
Oh, the fact that they could tell the different ducks in the dark by the wing beat. What?
Yeah.
Right.
But it was also so social, right? I think that's the other piece, the social piece with your friends, which is, I think, why when we had that first conversation, I was sitting at my kitchen table when you and I and Q-Tip had that first call together, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And you could just tell you had a just good group of people, just friends, sharing experiences with each other. Because you're not taking the rest with you.
Right.
And then when you, with your son, with your friends, that's what's special. And that's why I like bird hunting versus, now I'll deer hunt. And I just did a goat hunt, and I wanted to test myself. I'm not the youngest guy in the world, so I wanted to test myself.
I don't know why you dipped underneath that motor out there.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive.
It's all
right
good,
there.
but in the end, it's the social pieces of duck hunting that I think are so very special, and the bonds that you guys have, I think, are very special, and they're enduring.
I couldn't agree more with that. That's to me the part of being out there, the social part, the cooking breakfast. The numbers mean absolutely nothing to us. It's even if we just see birds flying that day is just an incredible thing. Just being out there talking, having fun. To be honest, one of my favorite things to do is watching the dogs work.
Oh yeah,
I love watching the dogs work, getting out there and retrieving birds and coming back. I think that's one of my favorite parts of this.
Yeah, absolutely mine. And Q-Tip and I have been on the journey. We're taking the same journey, different paths, right? He's a lab guy. I'm a Dratar guy. And, but we spent a lot of time with each other, training the dogs together. And, so we have a bond over that as well. And, just thoroughly enjoy it. I mean, that dog goes with me everywhere. And Amy's chilling right there right now, doing nothing.
I mean, that's kind of how, like, even like with Gibraltar Duck Hunters Association, the guys that you met upstairs.
Yeah.
Like, our group is based on taking new people out all the time, introducing them to the sport. We just took a guy out 2 weeks ago for field hunting.
Yeah, it was
he was just
fourth hunt ever.
He was blown away. He didn't even know geese could land in a field.
He didn't even know birds. He didn't even know waterfowl migrated. That's how new he was.
He was so blown away.
I don't know if that's ignorance or I don't know if that's ignorance or just because he's new.
It's cool.
As long as you're
That's
educating him, it's all good.
Well, the whole way that it worked there was, how did that go? I took his best friend duck hunting for the first time, and then his friend took him duck hunting. So it was kind of like an organic structural ladder of the way that it got passed down, to duck hunting, and how he got into it. So it's kind of a full circle moment for me.
And,
Well, cool.
It's getting harder and harder to duck hunt, right?
100%.
Public
Yes.
access,
Yes.
like we were just talking about. The boys are about to go and sleep in the marsh all night.
Yep.
Oh, there's probably
that's
about 20
passion.
groups out there.
I mean, that's passion. That's passion. And I think that does point to something that I just drove right from Reidsville, North Carolina to here because I was at the Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation dinner. And, it's a very important organization focused on legislation that affects sportsmen, access to public lands. And it's something we need to focus on because if we're not careful, I think you're going to find it won't be too many more generations when they're going to be like, no, sportsmen can't. We want passive use. Well, passive use doesn't pay the bill.
We just got our coyote season shortened up even up here.
Yeah, we used to be year-round for the longest time.
But they're taking piece by piece without anybody realizing it until it's too late, and that's the thing that people don't see. They make it sound like it's all good and it's all scientific and they got it down to a T, but they're crazy if they think they're going to get that 3 months or 4 months, whatever it was, back. Because, it's that tough to it's easy to take it and it's hard to get it back,
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Agree wholeheartedly.
I don't know. It's seeing like the new guys out in the field and giving people the opportunity to go out goose hunting for the first time. Like I almost get like a reaction like the first time I went out all over again. Just their eyes lighting up and seeing the birds working and I think that's the biggest thing for me. That's what drives me the most.
One of the things that I've found is phenomenal about duck hunting and the social aspects. I've met people from every walk of life you can imagine. I'll never forget so obviously I got hooked on hunting and I went to work for a U.S. Senator for a little while. And then I went to the NRA and I was at the NRA for 5 years. And at my first show, a Mennonite guy came up to me, Stephen Booker. I'll never forget him. And we just got to talking and I instantly liked him. He had his overalls on and his thing, And he said, well, you need to come duck hunt with me. And he lived somewhere in Pennsylvania, in the Pennsylvania Dutch area. I can't remember the town.
Hershey, somewhere right
Lancaster.
Yeah, Lancaster area. Yeah. And I went up to hunt with him. And he's a pig farmer. I'd never been on a pig farm in my life. Whoa.
Buddy, crazy.
I could smell it in my mind's eye right now.
Yeah.
And I helped him that day. And then the next morning, we had a burner on this little hole. And we couldn't have been so different.
Enjoying the same thing.
And
It's wild, isn't it?
That
gave me the chills. That's wild.
it is. And just recently, last year, on my way back from my mountain goat hunt in British Columbia, I drove down into Alberta and we hunted with the Hutterites. Man, you couldn't have met. Now they live in an isolated community, like that's their little world right there, and they do business outside, but they live with themselves. Man, they couldn't have been the nicest people in the world. Couldn't have been the nicest people in the world. Wanted to invite us back. Took all of our birds, processed them into these pepper sticks that were about heavenly. And I said it to myself again then. I'm like, it just brings everybody together.
Yeah.
But you need to have that mindset and not the competitive mindset that a lot of people have.
Right.
That like, no. This is my hole. No.
Yeah.
No, can't do that.
Even for this podcast wise, if I said it from the beginning, if we could reach two people or just a person to show them the right ways instead of just going at people's throats out in the marsh or yelling at each other and just actually taking a step back and enjoying it all, I'm okay with that. I don't care about how many views we get on here. I don't care how many likes we get on social media, whatever it may be. If I could reach out to that one person that learns one thing, that I'm good with it.
That's the biggest thing for me too, is with the newer hunters or getting younger kids or guys that are just new that want to try it, is showing them the right way about the whole process and the right way of how to treat people in the industry and how to go about just being a good human and a good duck hunter. Because if the wrong person gets a hold of them, it could turn that person into somebody that's going to cause that competitive mindset into other people.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I'll tell you, one of my favorite things about going on the road is meeting our customer, right? Truthfully, if I didn't get that chance, I wouldn't at all like the job, because it's not what people think it is. People think, oh, you own a shotgun shell, you're a partner in a shotgun shell company. Oh, whew, man, have they no idea. But
there's a lot of behind the scenes.
If I didn't meet that customer and meet people like you and you, it would be for nothing. And I will tell you that going to these shows, it's like Delta Waterfowl is one of my favorite shows, by the way.
That's what it was. The
energy.
Delta Waterfowl.
Wade was at the Delta
show.
Energy, and I'll never forget it. And I shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna. This young boy, man, if he was 90 pounds, he was I'm telling you what, just a skinny little kid. And he had his girlfriend with him, and he had a Federal shirt on. And he walked up to the booth and started talking, and he ended up buying a case.
Ooh.
He bought a case of Migra, and I was so happy. I was so excited that I took his name down and I wrote it all down, and I said to myself, one day, I'm going to do something very special for that kid. And then the next one, and the next one, and over a couple days, it was invigorating. So I actually have hope for the youth. There are a lot of great young men and young women, getting involved in the sport, and there's wonderful groups, people like you. What, you're 27?
Yeah.
How old are you?
29.
29. Young. Can you imagine?
I was going to say, don't ask me, because
oh man,
I'm the old man in the group.
But look, there's a couple great groups like the Sisterhood of the Hunt, right? Those girls,
Right.
They're awesome. I think that Laurel and JC are doing a lot to promote it the right way, right?
Yeah, I say they do a lot of stuff. I see a lot of social media they do, and they do a really, really good job. Really good job.
I'll tell you how much I respect them, and I respect JC. My social media guys had put a video together, and it had some rap music overlaid to it. And I won't lie, man, I don't listen to it, so I don't know what the words say. But she caught it. And she listened to that, and she's like, "Nah, I ain't reposting that. I don't like the language in that."
Didn't like the words, yeah.
And I said, "Wow, that was great that she stood up for what she believed in and taught us something." And I was like, and ever since then, I'm like, I'm backing them. I'm backing them.
That's tough nowadays, especially with the social media. I mean, social media alone, the rap, the hip hop, the beat that drops with like a flock of birds coming in.
Yeah, with the short reels and all the reels.
I mean, I did it the other day up north. We had that 3-pack come in. I was trying to find a video that like birds would drop right on the beat drop. But it's hard to separate yourself from like just the popularity contest to actually who you. It's not hard, but a lot of people can't, I should say, to separate yourself.
I just cared about the language, and she just cared about the language, but the beat's amazing, right?
Right.
I also think, too, maybe this is like a wide-ranging, who the hell knows where this conversation goes, right? But I do think we got to be careful on the social media side, too, on just killing.
100%.
We've talked internally, right? We love shooting birds. I mean, you saw we had a recent reel where we pillowed some birds. I mean, it was great.
Right.
But hold on a minute. It's not what it's all about. It's harder to capture that
behind the scenes, the moonlight, the feeling that we all have together. And I know that Wade and the team are committed and working very hard now to kind of show that more. Right.
And it's not just about the kill.
Well, the boat ramp tour is a good lesson they come out with last year. That was a really good program that Wade and Q-Tip did for just promoting, and you didn't see a lot of killing on it. They were just at the ramps. They were talking to people. Everybody's excited. They were trying to introduce them to different things and just meeting people and talking to people. And, you know, that's one of my things too, is, you know, meeting you today. I mean, obviously we've talked quite a bit on the phone, but just your passion that you have, not just for, like you said, the killing, but the sport and the people and the younger generation. That makes me so much more willing to say, hey, these guys are the best people we could associate with. And it just makes me so happy that you're here and what we've done over the last few years with Migra.
Well, it's what you're doing, right? Because look, we have a commitment to the public hunter, right? And that's why we did the boat ramp tour. But we have a commitment to you. And we're a small ship with a big rudder, and we can make changes real quick. We don't have any big hierarchy of command and 50 approvals. We just don't. Right. We all think the same. So you're going to get the same behavior out of Q-Tip you're going to get from me, you're going to get from Drew, you can get from Wade. It's the same. We're all the same. There's no one in our company that doesn't shoot. I mean, Kelly, the accountant, is a fishing machine and loves to shoot shotguns. But what does she do every day? She makes sure the bills get paid. But there's a culture, I think, within the organization. But in the end, it always boils down to the customer. We never want to be a company that doesn't know you. We never want to be, look, we've had some failings as a young company growing. You have to acknowledge those, and you got to learn from them. But you got to, number one, care about who your customer is, and focus on that. And if you focus on that, the rest will take care of itself. And so now that we are getting to be a pretty sizable company, just the other week I emailed Wade and Q, and Drew and I were talking, and we said, well, how do you replicate them, right? How do we? There is a point at which, because as you know, if you get on the phone with Q-Tip, he'll talk to you for an hour. He's never going to make you feel like you're not important. Never.
100%.
Ever. But in the end, when you got hundreds of thousands of customers, well, that's a lot of time talking.
It's hard to talk to people.
So we need the next generation, and that's why you got Young Will and Young Gear.
Yep.
Go ahead.
That's one thing, like with Migra wise, though, why we stand behind like you guys so much. We always preach about we stand behind the companies because we believe in them. And like the other day at Frank's up north for the middle zone.
It's a great story.
There was a guy up there, well, even last year, there was a guy trying to find shells and buying shells, and I ended up giving him 2 boxes of shells just for him to try out Migra. And then this year alone, there was a guy looking at the timber load. This is like his second time going out waterfall hunting.
Yeah, he's a U.S. sniper.
Yeah, he
for
was,
the Army.
He was special ops, and he was looking at it, and me and Brandon and Fonzie were saying, you won't regret buying the Migra. I promise you right now. He looked at the price. He's like, oh, man, I don't know about all that. And I said, trust me, you will not.
You said something else that convinced him.
He looked at it, he double took. He's like, $47.
He put it back.
That'd be the best decision of your life. You better pick that box back up.
That's what you said. And he grabbed it and said, all right.
Out of the store with it.
Grabbed it and bought it. And
But there was a backstory to it that this was a great story, and I'm glad Kyle brought that up because I wasn't with them at the time, but it almost, like an ambassador for Migra, and just go ahead and finish the story about what happened with this guy. It was a great story.
I don't know.
Well, when you went in the parking lot, you talked to him quite a bit, and you just,
I talked to him for quite a bit. At the time, I didn't know he was special operations. I didn't know anything about the guy. I just wanted to be able to promote Migra at the end of the day. But to see what, giving back to him and what he's done for the country and getting to just know the guy, he's only been out 2 times. He doesn't know what's going on. And that's what he's going to remember when he's out there shooting Migra, shooting some birds out there wearing our
There's a way we
stuff.
could follow up with him.
Yeah, well, he's going to remember you first.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's the,
Follow up would be cool.
Yeah.
Follow up would be cool. But just like I said, standing behind brands and companies that make you feel important. You want to grow together. There's a lot of these companies out here that won't give you the time of day, and to find the right people. I mean, it's like a hunting group, like we talked about.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time and unfortunately friends that you go through to find the right people that fit your life and to find the right company. It's a huge thing.
I think for us, it feels more like it's a partnership, right?
Yeah.
It's not transactional. It's more with you guys. It's definitely like a partnership, and and helping both sides grow equally as much as we possibly can. I think that's just the way it makes us feel. Is like it's a true partnership.
Well, we appreciate that, and that's the goal.
Yeah.
And we've got some great relationships with other brands. We do a lot of work with other brands, and it's funny now that we've got some. I'm not going to say who they are, but these are big, big, big international companies asking us, well, how do you do that? How do you? And we're like, wow, it's kind of hard to believe that they're asking us. But in the end, it goes back to they're so big, they got a small rudder, and this decision-making chain is so big they can't be nimble, and that's difficult. And we say to ourselves, look, we want to be a big company, but we don't want to ever act like a big company.
Right.
I think that's hit it right on the head there, because I've had conversation with Mark and Q-Tip, and it's funny because when you start where Migra started, it hasn't changed, not one bit. It's you've gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, but the relationships, the customer service has never changed whatsoever. And I think that is a testament how a company can grow and still maintain that relationship with the customer throughout, no matter how big you get.
Well, that's culture, right? That's culture.
100% culture. I was just gonna say, yep.
Yeah, but look, we make mistakes like everybody does, right? Like we've learned a lot about the development of our shelves over the last couple of years, and I think the product that you're starting to see now is even more evolved and getting better and better and better. And I'm happy to say that that all of our waterfowl product that you see right is now we had a great relationship with another company that helped us build them in Canada, good company, but we wanted that control. And honestly, we wanted the jobs in America. If you really want to know the truth, we want to do this, and we made a big commitment to do that. And it's only now, 2 years from the day we made the commitment, now starting to bear fruit, right?
How do you go about, like you said, like there's a lot of failure in the beginning.
Yeah.
New company, new shells. You getting the shells out to all these people all across the country, the world, and you got to hear a lot of down talk from people,
Negativity,
negative feedback.
Well, look, I mean, we do, but
that feedback probably helps you.
it does.
And
We
that's
want
that
it.
loyalty to the people. That's what it's about.
We want it, right? Look, anything that you build anything, you're going to have some issues, especially when you're building millions and millions and millions of these things, right? But we have to look at things in parts per million, right? We don't think of things in percentages. It's ppm. And when you consider the millions of shells that we're making, and then we do our very best. I mean, anybody that's dealt with our customer service department knows how good they are. Like we just recently made a mistake where one of the young guys forgot to check Facebook. Well, I would have hoped that the customer would have gone to our website and got us that way, but he made a post on Facebook and my guy didn't catch it. So he got a little upset, and I understand that. But our goal is to address every issue, learn from them. But I will tell you that little trick, not a trick, that's not the right word. That's a bad word. There's pejorative, but half the problems aren't our problem, if you really want to know the truth. Right. But you can't say that, nor do we feel that way. We care if your gun barrel blew up because you happen to have put a highly restrictive choke and put an ounce and 3/8 load at 15 through it, and it's -1 degree. Well, you might have a problem here. But we don't approach it that way. First, we're really sorry that happened. Now, I'm going to tell you, most of the gun companies don't own issues. So it's always left to us, if you really want to know.
I can see that now.
It's up to us. And normally, not normally, every single time pretty much we'll make it right. Even if we find out 30 minutes into the conversation that that shell been sitting in the bottom of that boat for an hour and now it squibs. Oh, really? and the guy will be like, well, waterfowl hunting and it's raining. Yeah, but you got to keep shell dry. Right. But
it's just good business. In my opinion.
It really is.
It's good business.
Here's some new ammo. Here's now what we do is we do want those shells back, and we'll send you the label, right? And then we're talking, I want to say 43 complaints out of
thousands.
Millions.
Yeah,
millions.
Yeah.
Millions of shells. So it happens.
So that
we
is
talk about the good stuff, though.
No, that's the best part about it, though, is that even though you look at that PPM, you're looking at it to say, hey, I'm going to make it right, even though I know, or I'm at least going to listen to what you're telling me. So maybe there is something there we could change or something we do, but you listen.
Well, you always do. And I'm not going to talk about certain guns, but there's some semi-automatics that have a tendency. So when we see that cartridge with the side blown out of it, well, it didn't lock, and it blew it back, and the bolt just didn't lock. That doesn't mean I'm not going to own the problem and say, hey man, here's what we think happened. Look at that little dent on your hull right there where it slid. But we're still going to send you some shells, and we're still going to take care of you.
Right.
And I will tell you what, I think anything in life, if you own your mistake, the person's going to appreciate you more, and the better friends you're going to be.
100%.
So I will tell you that's where our team has turned problems into information to improve our product, but really actually solidified a friend because of the contrast with the rest of the industry. Right? Because a lot of these guys ain't going to call you back.
No, right? That's...
I'm sure Umpteen said, you know what else? You know what he did do for me, though? And they tell their friends, you know what Migra did for me, though? And they sent me this case of shells, and they found out the problem, what I had.
Yeah.
That helped me.
We send everyone back to the factory to test.
Big difference.
Yeah.
We talked about market share earlier with where I work.
Yeah.
And I see the way you guys go to business and the culture and the way that you guys operate, from what I'm hearing from you, the exact same as where I'm employed. And I want to say that's why you guys are growing so fast and at such a positive pace.
Well, not knowing who you work for, but I'm not going to say who I was just with.
Right.
But who totally was giving me why Milwaukee was doing so great. And you're exactly right.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
Literally spot on. And
spot
I
on.
think,
Same culture.
yeah, it's insane. The support piece too is the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if I meet a guy, he's seen it. If I meet a guy out in the parking lot, and it happened here. He was in the parking lot. He had the pack out system or storage system.
Yeah.
Lithium battery caught on fire. All of his pack out. Give me your name and number. Got them all right. Sent them all. Got them right. Thanks, man. I'm going to go back and buy. He goes, now I'm buying the MX Threader, which is, an $8,000 piece, but that's what it's about right there, is taking care of people.
Well, you talk about lifelong relationships.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the problem in a temporal society. People just want it now. And they're like, well, that wasn't our problem, Mark. Why did we just send him that? Actually, I don't have to explain that to my people. But when other people ask me, I'm like, that's going to be our customer for life. And we care about nurturing that customer.
Yep.
But I think the other commitment too, and not to digress on this, is people don't realize the commitment that Migra has made to manufacturing. So Drew is the real true originator of the stack load, the true stack load, not a blended load, but a true stack load. And one of the problems that when Drew was loading that by hand, you could get a perfect shell. But when you went to volume, There wasn't a machine made
Automatic process.
to do that, right? So the machines in the beginning of Migra were we'll call it rigged, and they weren't really made for that double drop, right? So what did you have? You had a low production rate but a higher defect rate because that machine wasn't specifically designed for that load. And so when I met Drew, two of our conversations right in the beginning was, how do we scale? How do we make the absolute best load possible at volume? And in the end, the answer was, you got to go to Italy and you got to work with Ramba and their engineers, because they're the masters at this stuff. Let's just face it, they really are. And Christina and her family-owned business, right, committed to saying, okay, we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna figure this out. And from the time we said we're gonna design that machine, to the time it was made, to the time we got it, 19 months.
Wow.
And $500,000 per machine.
Wow.
Right? And we've got 3 of those now.
Holy moly.
We've got 3. And
But that's commitment.
their cousins own another company called EMG. And they're all cousins, right? and so now, and we just got our new EMG Rainbow, specifically designed to make our 20 gauge 2.4. And that's all that machine's gonna make.
Really?
It's all that machine's gonna make.
Wow.
7, 8, 9 million of those alone on that load. Right? But it was designed to perfect that load because it's a little bit tricky to make. It's a little bit tricky to
So
make.
I talked to you the other day, Mark, and I don't know if you can talk to a little bit.
Yeah.
I told you a lot of the questions I get with the stacked loads is the stampings on the shells themselves.
Yeah.
And we had talked about that a little bit about, I get a lot of questions is,
What is this once you take it out of the box?
right, what am I shooting now? Is it a 2.4? Is it a 2BB? Is it a 1.3? So I don't know if you could elaborate on a little bit on that. What's going on?
Look, where there's a will, there's a way, and an investment. So we have now switched to all these new digital printers that if you saw the new TSS load that we did for Max Prairie Wings, it's a 4.9 that Max had us do custom for them. And you know, just quick digression. Max is good friends with Simmons, good friends with Rogers and Avery. And even though Max custom ordered that and Chuck and Matt Spoon are the ones that committed to a lot of money to make that load, they shared it with their friends. And people said, well, they're competitors. Well, yeah, they are, but they're not. And so the next thing you know, they're like, these other stores have it. And that was exciting for us. That was great. But if you notice, you'll see it's all printed there. And it says steel bismuth. So all of our new loads have that on there. So what you might see over the next few months is some of the older stock getting bought through, but all the new loads, it's all printed on. 1.3, 2.3, steel bismuth, whatever. And you'll see some of those tomorrow.
And you said that you also had, there's a barcode on there too that could tell you.
Yeah, and so that's actually, to me, I don't mean to geek out on it, but I want to know when that shell was made, what lot of powder, what lot of
I love this.
everything. So we just, not to talk money again, but we're a small company. So when you spend $500,000 on Oracle NetSuite and a scanning system, right? You've got to learn how to harness that data to support you and support me and my team. And so RF Smart, everything comes in and there's a recipe tied. It's this wad, it's this. We know we have a new 600 pallet position warehouse. We know where everything is, gets scanned in, gets scanned out. But all those numbers relate, and you'll see it. There's like 17, 16 numbers. And they're on the side of the shell. And I admit it's not the most attractive thing in the world, but I don't care.
The bird don't care either.
We wanted to sacrifice that kind of cool look for this crazy long number so I can know what wad. I even can go down to what hour that thing was made on.
That's awesome.
And so we could track it all the way back. And back to our commitment. Look,
Good business. That's what it
100%.
comes back to.
It'd be cool to have
That's
that
awesome.
barcode is like the actual logo, so it all blends in, like you're saying.
man, that's not a bad idea. Let me see if they can do it.
Hey,
that's a
I
good
thought-
idea. I owe you that.
Hey,
I owe you that.
I tell Kyle this probably once a week. I go, "You ain't as dumb as you look, Kyle."
No, he's a smart
You're
guy.
a pretty smart
I get
cat,
it a
man.
lot,
He's a smart guy. But those are the things that we've invested in and the commitment that we've made that's going to start to now pay off this season, next season.
Love it.
A few other things. Look, I'll tell you, all the new wads in our 12 gauge are our new proprietary wad that we developed, we designed, and is made in America.
Which is huge for a company.
Love that.
It's huge. And,
Love
and,
that.
and we just finished the tooling on our new 20 gauge wad. So all of those wads are now made in America, where they used to be brought in from Italy. And they were great wads, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But supply chain is supply chain. And now we own that tool. And it's just
This
another sample.
stuff coming down, and we've talked a little bit more. Some of the things you guys are working on is, I'm so excited. To see where this just grows and grows and grows, and it grows for the better. You're never resting on what you have, and you have a great product. We all know you have a great product, but you're not stopping at that product. You're getting better. You're evolving, and I'm super excited to see some of this stuff.
We're very excited about what we're about to bring to market, and we do have other we've got a lot of great supply chain partners, right? The new load you're about to see is a little bit of it's a little divergent from our stacked brand, and it's called our Mono series. And it's monolithic, it's one load, but we really wanted to bring a 28 gauge to the market, and we really wanted to bring a 410 to the market. And it just really there was an added efficacy through the stack technology there. The stack technology in a 12 gauge steel, undeniable what it does. When you start to get into those really sub gauges and using denser metals or denser alloys like bismuth, we feel as a company you didn't need that stack technology in it. And we have a new 28 gauge and a 410 that you'll see here in a couple weeks that are both number 6 bismuth. Next year, you're going to see another variant on that 28, which will be a 3-inch number 5 bismuth.
Very cool.
And what I'm honestly just so excited about is our new 16 gauge. I'm a lot older than you, a little older than you, and a fair bit older than you guys. And I have still older than you. But,
That's true.
I've got some old guns, and I want to use them. And I can't tell you how many guys my age and older that I run into, or guys that are getting these guns passed down that want to use them.
Maybe just one more time or something.
Yeah. And so, Drew and I were talking. We said, no, we got to make a load for that. And so it's actually a 2.5 inch.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's what they really were. So, well, maybe there's an eighth of an inch difference, but it's a 2.5 inch, 16 gauge paper hull.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, when you pull the trigger on that thing, it has a smell that our grandfathers, that must be the smell that they
paper
have.
smell. I know that paper smell.
That's
My
so
grandfather used to. I know exactly what you're talking about. That was how I grew up hunting, was with my grandfather. So I know that paper smell. It's like a
Dude,
burn.
Yeah,
I love that
it's
smell.
so sweet.
Yep.
It's so sweet, and so we're excited. That's a number 5, but it's a low pressure. Right, it's a low pressure. You can put it in a gun that's worth some money, an old Belgian Browning, Winchester 21, whatever you want to put in it. It ain't gonna hurt that gun.
The sub gauges nowadays are going crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah, they're coming back. It's that old thing. History repeats itself. Like, I feel like all, like, the old school camo, right? The old school guns, like, everything is making its way back in these past 5 years. And
Well, I think a lot of it though too. I mean, for me
Super neat.
anyway, like a 410 for turkey hunting.
Oh, yeah.
just example,
Single
because I have
shot.
questions on the turkey loads as well.
Yeah.
But like a 410, I want to get for turkeys just because I want them to be that much. I want to be able to trick them that much more.
yeah,
Coming in like that, and I think that's the thing where more people are getting prone to like wanting that instead of shooting them. 60,
Well, waterfowl
70.
is getting a lot into just a 20 gauge. People aren't shooting, 12, 20 gauge is becoming a very, very popular gun for waterfowl.
Fastest growth, 20 gauge.
Yeah.
20 gauge.
Do you think it's because of the shells? I talk about this all the time. The technology in the shells and the BBs and the powder and all of that, they're going lower in gauges of the guns, like 20 gauges instead of 12s, and not so much 10 gauges anymore.
I feel like you would be able to speak more to that, Mark, than us.
I know more BBs are in 10 gauge or 10.
Oh
gauge.
yeah. Well, look. So there's
more
a
for a youth too, even.
yeah. Well, look. I think in the end, you're looking at pattern density and velocity, and what you can achieve if you really think about it. And it's really no different than a rifle. You hit them where they live and they die, right? Whether it's a 270, hell, my son just killed a deer with a 22 Creedmoor. It's a 75 grain burger bullet. Come on. And
Really?
You hit it right, it's dying.
But it's the velocity is where it's at, right? On that gun. But my really point is it's a true pleasure to shoot a 20 gauge. And the efficacy, look, you've got, like ours are double base powders. And so we can get the velocity that you need to kill that bird. With our stack technology and our slit and stitch wad, you're going to get that pattern density and truncated shot string. So as long as you're shooting all right, you're gonna kill it dead. You're gonna kill it dead.
I think
It's a
too
struggle
is
for some of our guys is shooting.
well, I mean the weight of a gun, 20 gauge is going to be a lot lighter.
Yep.
Some people don't
Recoil.
like the kick, the recoil of the gun. That's another big thing. But Kyle, you're right. I think the technology and the things for a 20 gauge just makes it more pleasurable to have out there with you.
Yeah, to be
dragging
shooting
around 12
over
gauge.
and over and over and over again, especially too, right?
Like I said, I think, well, for me personally, I don't want to speak on anybody else, but just to be able to get those birds that much closer to you. I mean, last year we shot, 6 or 7 turkeys within 15 yards even. But I want to get them that much closer to be able to even use
with
a small-
Migra.
Yeah, I
Right.
know.
Just
Well,
use Migra.
so now you're going down there's a lot going on when you're talking about turkey loads, especially when talking about tungsten, right? So you've got, unlike steel, which isn't as dense, and its ability to maintain velocity isn't nearly what a bismuth or a tungsten is, right? So when you're using tungsten on a turkey load, I think you're going to be really surprised. We have a new 410 number 9 tungsten coming out
Maybe that's
for this season.
That's the reason why I'm going to buy a 410 this year.
And I'm not encouraging you to shoot it 45 yards or 50 yards, but I think you're going to be surprised. Tungsten, you push it, it'll go.
Well, I mean, look at all those guys down south. They're shooting at birds at 80 yards away.
Yeah,
It's like,
75 yards I saw
for
today
me,
on
you can-
Instagram.
You can keep that though.
Yeah, all day long.
I don't feel like successful or like it's the
It's the game, right? It's the game of getting them in that
the
close.
respect I have for that animal to
Right.
be able to shoot at 80 instead of 10, 15 yards in front of you. Like I have a lot more respect.
But
for
the beauty about turkey hunting, unlike others, look, you duck call, you goose call. We all know it works. Right. But I think elk and turkey are the two where it's a dance, right?
It's a one-on-one, mano-a-mano.
Yeah, it's a different art.
Yeah.
If you've ever had a chance to be with a really great turkey caller like Matt Van Cease or somebody who I've had the pleasure of hunting with, and just amazing what they do.
World champion, ain't he? Does it
9
matter?
time,
Yeah, it's
9 time,
crazy.
greatest ever. But he lives and breathes it. That's who he is, right?
Yep.
But I'll say I think that you are seeing a very big shift to sub gauges. There are a number of clubs in Arkansas, Straight Lake being one of my favorite. They just voted 28 gauge in the woods only.
Wow.
I heard that about a different club as well. I think
There's
it was
a bunch
in
of 'em.
Kansas.
Bunch of them going that way.
28 only. Wow.
Did I Does White Oaks follow that too?
I can't speak to that. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure White Oaks does
But
that too.
there's a bunch. But they're looking, especially in timber, for that very intimate experience, right? Like you hunt Straight Lake, for example. I mean, you're hunting hand-carved, hand-painted decoys on a jerk string like the old days. I mean, it's cool. And they come right in. As a matter of fact, Max Sharp, the guy that started it, and it's a member-only club. But they're very generous about taking other people hunting. They've got I think it's called the Silver Mallard Club, and it's 3 mallards, 3 shots with a 410, and then you get your name on the wall.
Wow.
And you get your name on the wall.
That's cool.
When I retire, that's what I want you to do for me. Take me down there.
Yeah, it's
Relax.
cool. Yeah, that's cool. It's
Mark,
cool.
you got any connections for me?
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
We're gonna do a hunt. So we teamed up with Benelli this year, not only on the boat ramp tour, but on Migration Madness.
Yeah.
And so that's a nationwide promotion, and somebody going to win, and Benelli and us, and a couple of other sponsors are Banded are going to take these guys to Straight Lake and hunt them.
Very cool.
And
That is awesome.
That's going to be a lucky person.
Yep.
A very lucky person.
And they win a gun and whole banded get up and
Waiters,
everything.
I think, is in there.
Everything is everything.
They got a bunch of stuff.
It's
I've seen
everything.
it.
What's why the white shell?
That's another Drewism.
Okay.
Man, we got a bunch of Drewisms, right? Look, you got to give it to Drew. He's got a very marketing oriented mind. And he knew instinctively that the white shell would show up, right? But he also knew the ducks didn't give a crap about it laying all over the place. They do not care. So when people call, well, that white shell going to flare the birds, there's 100 dead birds here. What make you think they're flaring these birds?
Right.
But Drew knew instinctively that if Migra did the white shell over time, consistency like anything in life, people would see that, wouldn't even need to read it and know it's Migra.
Right.
Know it. And like many things he's done, stroke of brilliance. Stroke of brilliance.
I think it's cool because when I first started shooting, and Kyle will attest that I was the first one that tried the Migra.
Yeah.
And there's one of your shells. Well, I only shot twice. Nope, there's 4 of them, and you're the only one shooting, so you shot 4 times. So everybody knew what I was shooting, and I couldn't hide it anymore. But now that we all shoot it, it's a little bit easier. But
Yeah, it's had some interesting added benefits that, like you've seen the custom, like the beautiful custom shell you just gave me. That was such a wonderful present and thoughtful. Thank you guys.
Yeah, of course.
And custom ammo, right? The shirt you're wearing, Blake, and he's awesome.
Great people.
And he takes our shells and he does custom printing on these shells. And these shells are bad to the bone. I mean, just bad to the bone.
You can damn near do anything.
Anything you can think
I know.
of.
Flag, candy canes. I was seeing for like the Christmas shoots. and
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. And so what's happened then is some people have come to us for special promotions. Well, guess what? We're along for the ride.
yep.
And so it's had these other really interesting benefits. Now, we have made a big change again to the shell. So not only about what we just talked about printing, all of our new hulls that we're making are 25 millimeter nickel, where they used to be 16 millimeter regular brass, right? So everything is changing. So every single one of our loads, I think the 10 million we just made, are nickel high brass, and they're beautiful.
Wow.
They have anti-corrosive properties to them, which we really like. They're very distinctly different, and it's an elegant shell. Have you seen our new Ultimate Field loads? Anybody?
You know, I tried to get some, and they were gosh,
Sold
they
out
went
like
so
that.
fast. I talked to Q-Tip, and they were gone because we were gonna.
so fast.
Yeah, because we don't have a dove season here in Michigan, so we do a lot of pigeon hunting and stuff like that. And we try to get some of the field loads, and we're definitely going to try them next year.
We've got some new 20 gauge fields that we just completed. So we've got, I think we got 14 pallets ready. But outside of that, we're done for the year. But all of our waterfowl and all of our loads are, all those 12 gauge loads will have that new nickel brass on them, and it's sweet.
Very nice.
It's really, really sweet. And we just finished the tooling, so we now says Migra with our little bird.
That's sweet.
right on.
Well, little things make you feel good. I know it sounds
Set you
corny,
apart.
but
No, it's great. I
Mark,
think it's great.
I want to ask you kind of a business question.
Sure.
Do you guys track POS or point of sale data at all, or in the way that you distribute your ammunition to certain distributors?
So we don't sell to many distributors. So we look at it this way. So we've got big box,
Yep.
distributor, and independent.
Okay.
Okay. Independents are, we'll say, in the 50, 60 percentile of our business. Big box in about 33%, 34% of our business, something like that. We don't do a lot of distributors. We have a couple great ones, like just great ones. But speaking plainly, the way Migra's made its reputation is through the relationships. And when you start to sell through distributors, you abdicate some of that relationship selling, right? Now, we have thought about a slightly different model where we still maintain the day-to-day relationship, but the distributor just fulfills the shipment. But we are reticent to let distributors sell our product. Not that there's not wonderful salespeople, there are, but we're still a family, and I kind of want to control that relationship.
Yeah.
Put a bad name in other people's mouths or
Yeah. So,
Again, I think that's great. That
so
it's
give me your
staying.
question again, because I'm a little foggy right now. I've been driving for 2
Yeah,
days.
no, you're good. It was just basically on how you guys track like point of sale data.
Yeah.
Do you have?
Yeah. Okay, so use in ASGW. So if you're a member there, you can understand what distributors are selling by zip code.
Right.
Like, ain't no doubt.
Yeah.
Like, you can get really granular. And what SKU,
Yeah.
right? So there are ways to do it. We have very good relationships with our big box guys. So Bass Pro, they're wonderful. They're good to us. We just got on last year. This is our second year, and they're
Yeah.
very, very helpful. We just got on Shields, if you can believe it. That was big for us. I mean, that's exciting. We love them. We've got a couple Shields that are on their third turn, which means they've ordered. This will be their third shipment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Appleton, Wisconsin. Like, what
That's
is
where I
going
lived
on?
last year, Mark.
What is going
Yep.
on in Appleton?
Yep.
I mean, there's some bird hunters up
Oh
there.
yeah, there's a lot of bird hunters over there.
I mean, I can't wait. I love it. And so, Reeds, right?
Yeah,
Those
Reeds,
stuff,
yep.
right? And so, they're all very good at sharing data so that we can understand where the 1.3s need to be, where the 2.3s, where the BB,
Okay, that makes more sense. 'Cause I was
Rogers and like.
gonna say, because I don't see you guys in every store, so that was just kind of the thought behind that question.
We did well. In truth be told, we didn't have the production capacity to even think about it.
and that would make sense.
Yeah, and so you're on the sales side, right?
You very much so. Yes.
So your job is to get out there and hunt and sell and sell and sell.
Oh yeah.
My job, if I don't have there's the demand signal for the product, but I don't have the production capacity quite yet.
Right.
Right. So it's very hard to constrain you and hold you back. Say,
Yeah.
don't go there.
Right.
And that is a bad analogy, but I'm going to use it. It's like there's a really beautiful girl at the bar,
Yep.
and you really want to meet her, but you're not looking so good, and you haven't got paid, so you can't really buy her a drink.
Yep.
You're better off not talking to her. You're better off talking to her when you're looking good and you got some coin in your pocket,
Right.
because you're not going to get a first impression again.
So you're saying don't go up to her and ask her to buy you a drink is what you're saying.
Yes, don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah. So I tell my guys, don't even call on that guy. Don't even, because don't go there and not live up to your promise.
Right.
Do not do that. And when they call, say, we love you. We're not there yet, but you'll be the first one I call when we are.
Right.
And we're in that phase right now for the first time in our company where we can handle the demand signal.
Well, there's two places that when we travel north, middle zone and two small places that actually have Migra in them now. That they never did in the last couple of years. They started carrying Migra, which is very, very cool to see.
It's cool to see. I was, like I said, I was in Reedsville at the Congressional Sportsman's, but I went by Southern States, and the local Southern States now carries us, and he's blowing it out, and that's exciting. Yeah. And so I went 15 miles down the road to an Ace Hardware, and this Ace Hardware now guy's carrying guns, right? And it's the coolest thing in the world. You walk in, there's barbecue, there's everything, and there's Ace Hardware over here, and a big ass gun store over here. He never heard of Migra. Got to talking with him a little bit. He just ordered turkey, dove, boom, 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 boom. Just ordered it all up.
Very nice.
So we're in that phase.
Yeah.
You know, you're a monster, man. You guys are a big company with a big demand signal, and you're very sophisticated. We're still learning.
I'll be honest with you though. There's a big energy company here called Consumers. Big energy company here. It's between two of them here in the state of Michigan. Mm-hmm. We got into their business all from a tape measure.
I believe it.
From me giving a tape measure sample that turned into millions of dollars in sales from a tape measure and support. And that was it. I'm not here to sell you.
Yeah.
I'm here to see, I know you guys are using some of our stuff. I'm here to see where I fit in that support piece for you guys. Where does you know, a local rep fit in that support piece?
How can I help?
That's it. And that was all it started from.
Yeah.
And just being and showing up, going to lunch, hanging out, calling the guy on the way to my hunt. You know, on the weekend, calling them and just BS.
It's amazing what a bourbon will get you.
Yeah, that too.
and a cold Mick Ultra.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy though too. I mean, even talking to Hawk out down in Prim Springs and people all over the country that are shooting Migras when people still are kind of learning about it all.
You know any of the Wolcotts down there, Prim Springs?
I don't, but I bet you my team does.
Oh, I bet they do.
Yeah,
they and I just talked to Hawk yesterday, I think it was, and he can't talk enough about Migra, and I mean, there's so many people that talk so highly of it all. It's crazy.
And what bounces off of that is like the guys over at Final Flight Outfitters.
Yeah,
John Ed Powers, John Braden, all them hunted with them last year. I met John Braden, his son. We became really good buddies. I went down there, hunted there last year with those guys, and that was all they pushed was Migra to everybody in the store.
Well,
and it was.
That's because our sales guys have a good relationship.
And that's what they said though. You guys take care of them, and there's a really, really good partnership there.
Yeah,
and I think that just speaks volumes.
Yeah, well, we like I said, we appreciate it, but I'll tell you, it's because everybody hunts. I'm not again going to talk about other companies, but I do have the great insight to hunt and meet a lot of people in this industry. I'm shocked about the people running a lot of these companies that don't hunt.
Oh,
we just talked about
it in the car on the way here. Yeah.
Man, I'm just not going to go into this any deeper. But I say to myself, wow, do you know your customer? This company will never have a Bud Light situation in my life. It will never happen.
Yeah,
it will never happen.
Amen
because
to
we know our customer.
Right.
Yep.
We know who they are, and we are constantly looking for ways to connect, i.e. the boat ramp tour. You know, and our sponsorships of Dr. Duck and all those guys that are just real.
Yep.
I don't want a fancy Instagrammer. Not interested.
Right.
Not interested.
It goes back though to the crew, right? The backbone of the company, like Q-Tip, Wade. I mean, everybody behind the scenes that is doing the right thing. Though, you know, it's.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate it. I'm going to tell you, not to dictate where the conversation's going, but there's some interesting things I think that I think your customers might and your listeners might want to know. So let's talk about the gunpowder situation. And people, is this something you've been hearing about yet? Not really.
No, not really.
All right. Well,
hasn't made it to our ears yet.
Here's breaking news. You can do your news flash.
Channel 4 reporting live.
30 to 40% of the commercial gunpowder market has been cut off.
Really?
Yeah. So in January at the SHOT Show, right? We buy direct. We're very, very, very fortunate to have a powder supplier that treats us like family. And they care that we're an American company and that we're given jobs in Tennessee, and They're making sure that we're fed the gunpowder we need to keep this company going. But what's happened is the war in Ukraine has depleted pretty much NATO's artillery reserves. And the gunpowder and the nitrocellulose that's being gobbled up to backfill it all has literally caused a constriction of over 40% in the commercial powder market.
That is insane.
And the truth of what the pain that the sportsman's going to feel in shot shell next year will be significant. It will be significant. You're seeing, so last year's season wasn't that good, right? We had a tough season. So you got a bunch of closet ammo.
Yep.
And then we had backstock, so now production's good. But only now, just now, the pinch is being felt. And I'm not going to talk about the other guys, but everybody's feeling it. Everybody. And that's why, back to the thing earlier I said about the co-ops and the beer industry, you know, smaller guys are working to help each other.
Right.
Are we going to see that powder? I mean, you're going to see it from a quantity perspective too, being downgraded.
You're going to see.
What about quality?
No, don't worry about that. Just worry about the amount.
Quantity, not quality.
Yeah. Don't worry about the quality piece. As nitrocellulose is getting gobbled up.
Yeah.
And I was just in France in a meeting discussing nitrocellulose supply and our need to keep that supply chain open, and the real problems with that. I'm telling you that the reloader is in trouble, right? Absolutely in trouble. He's not going to have any powder. The companies like my size, if you don't have a very good supply chain, you're in trouble. You're in real trouble. And even the big guys are going to start to make some decisions on what shells they make and what shells they don't.
Yep.
And your prices are going up.
Oh, 100% price is going to go
Why
up.
is nobody talking about that? I'm surprised this is the first time.
Mark's a little bit more in the know than I think the people we know.
Well, but just in,
He was in France.
But the people need that's crazy though. Like nobody's.
Yeah.
even-
I don't want to create a false COVID scare. Go buy your ammo. Go buy your ammo.
Yeah, right.
Go buy it, brother.
Right.
Trust me, it's going to get bad. And I will tell you that if the Ukrainian war, something doesn't change, it's only pushing it out years and years, because in speaking with the people that make the artillery and understanding their backlog, in order to fulfill current orders, they're 2 years plus out.
Wow.
So it goes on another year. So
no.
so it's going to be really bad next year. And it's going to be really bad
The
year.
following year is going to be even worse. That
will
same
be.
thing. Yep.
It will be.
Yeah.
Look, and
That ball starts small and just keeps rolling down and just gaining speed.
absolutely, everybody will be talking about it in 4 months. You watch. You look back on the date and the time we talked, and you'll be like, yeah,
Well,
he was right.
Ordering shells now.
Yep. Yep.
Well, we're good.
You're good.
We're
You're
in
good.
good hands. We're in good hands. We're in good hands.
You're good. But again, it's our relationships with the guys, and honestly, looking at the global supply, right? We just bought 20,000 pounds of our powder in South Africa, right? And it's our exact powder. It's not exact, but it's the same burn rate, same everything. But I'm literally having to scour the globe just to make sure that we're set, right? And I think that some of the other, we'll call it mid-sized companies, that's why we're kind of starting to band together, because some of the other guys, one guy might make something that I use and I might have a better supply chain on that. So you help me out with this and I'll help you out with that. And we'll get through it together. We'll get through it.
That was a thing too. What I was going to say about like even like the stores holding Migra or selling Migra, like not burning bridges. There's a lot of people in the industry that burn bridges that down the road that they wish they had it.
Yeah.
Like the
Oh yeah. Especially in this industry.
Well, I mean, just the connections that you were talking about with the powder. I mean, if you're burning bridges that like 2 years prior, that you're like, it
Could
don't
sink
matter.
your
Like,
business.
who cares about that? Look at it now. I mean, that's
well,
what carries.
what makes me is listening to Mark talk about that is and I know it's not what you said, but kind of what I'm taking is how much more behind the scenes of you're going to the store, grabbing a box of shells, putting your thing, you're going hunting. How much more effort and work goes behind the shot shell industry? Just, hey, we make shells, and I mean, like you said, you're scouring, looking for products and stuff. It's not just, hey, we got a whole pile in the backyard, we're just going to start shoveling it up. It's not the way it works.
No, it's nowhere near it. Look,
very interesting.
The primer market, like Shadid. You familiar with Shadid? No. So, look, amazing company. So you got Noble Sport, and under Noble Sport, you know, they've got Shadid, they've got Ely Hawk, Rio, Saga, Bornagi, RC, and this is a massive European company. I want to say they're 50% plus of the primer market.
Wow.
I'm not going to say what other manufacturers they make product for, because that's not ethical. But if you know, they're overseas making a lot of big American brands, and I'm proud, absolutely proud to say they helped me and Migra make our field loads, right, in Spain. So all of our waterfowl, like I said, America. I couldn't scale. I'm able to take our patents, our technologies, work with them, and help us make it in Spain, right? Now, our hulls are extruded plastic, right? And then the brass is made, and it's fused together. And then the machine's called an indices. And then it seats that primer, right? So we buy those made. We do not have that manufacturing technology. I mean, I don't want to tell you the cost of those machines. And by the way, that extruder that extrudes that piece of plastic, you don't shut that machine off. That machine stays on. You better run that thing and run at minimum of 16 hours a day. Wow. You couldn't. It's because
of the heat. It's got to stay on.
Heat and cool cycles. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, we've got a global supply chain. You know, our primers, our hulls. We buy some of our lead in some of our steel in America. I'm trying to buy more. You know, the things that go through our mind, right? So let's say you're dependent on steel made in China, and let's say, for want of a few $1 million in steel, something happens in the South China Sea or with Taiwan. I'm out of business. I'm out of business. Yeah. So I need to make sure that I'm able to buy some in America, even though maybe it's a little more expensive, but now I'm a customer. And so when it hits the fan, I'm not begging them. I've got a relationship, and then they're going to help me out, right? I will tell you this.
It's good business.
So tungsten, right? So tungsten. Listen, there's not many places where tungsten's mined in the world. China, Congo, a couple other places. Have you ever seen a video of some of this artisanal mining? Looks like Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's bad.
Sounds like our lithium ion.
Oh, dude, don't even, buddy. I didn't bring it up just because you were sitting there.
Right.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But so I will tell you, there's some legislation. Well, the U.S. government thinking probably going to double the tariff on tungsten. So from 9, 18, all of a sudden, like, wow, that number's going through the roof.
Yeah.
Right. So people don't know there's a lot going on there. A lot going on, and just to make a little shotgun shell that goes boom, so you can stick another one in and use it again.
Yep.
And it's not like this guy buying these fancy waders over here. You expect when you buy a pair of fancy waders, they're going to last you a long time, right? That's his expectation. Your expectation with me is you hope and pray you get to shoot a lot, right? So, it's interesting. It's interesting. So
a lot of behind the scenes stuff. A lot.
That's for sure.
A lot.
You guys got any questions?
Anything?
I was going to say,
no.
We can keep going. I know.
No.
We can keep going.
People would be bored all night.
Yeah.
People don't want to listen to this too much anymore. What we talked about.
They will.
No.
They will.
Well, my boring self.
No, you're good.
It's all good.
I just want to say thank you again for you driving up here, spending some time with us getting to know you better, you getting to know us better, and to see who we are. I can't thank you for what you do with the industry and just everything as a whole.
Well, the pleasure's 100% ours, and my entire team was excited. Like, 'cause I didn't know, they knew. And then I'm riding up, and they're like, "Mark, are you about to?" I'm like, "Come on, boys. Can I not move without y'all knowing what's going on?" But you've always, from the day we talked, always felt a special bond to you guys and how you do it, and you know that you're not charging friends. It's just the way you do it's the right way. And so when we talk about support, it's our pleasure.
Well, I think, like you said, from day one, where I've spoke to you guys, and it's been more of a friendship.
Yeah,
you
friendship.
know, and I truly appreciate all the friendships I have, but with you guys, and now finally, you know, getting to meet face to face and spending some time, and we'll spend some time tomorrow on the blind and have some fun.
And if there's no birds, there'll be no friendship.
That's right.
well,
there's breakfast.
There
There it goes. No. You put a good biscuit in our hand, and one bird for this dog to get, and I'll be happy.
Yeah,
We'll
no, it's incredible, and I can't thank enough Mark and, like you said, Q-Tip and Will and those guys that I've actually have a really good relationship, and I just can't thank you enough.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to ask you a favor. So the next guy I want to send Drew up, and I want you to drive Drew around.
Okay.
And I will tell you that and I'll close with this, we don't have a lot of exposure up here, right? And so one of the things we really want to do is get on the ground in a car, driving around the state, hit Michigan, hit Wisconsin, make friends, get new dealers, and because we love it up here. Y'all are very, very, very passionate, and I think there's not a lot of people except amongst yourselves that know how passionate you guys are. People think, oh, the art guys in Arkansas. Oh, the guys. Yeah, they are. You guys are.
We talk about that all the time
It's
on
a
our
hidden-
podcast.
Do you?
It's a hidden gem
because
over there that
Amen.
I hunt down south quite a bit. I go 3-4 times a year, and they cannot believe the amount that we kill up here, and they can't believe how just as passionate we are and educated we are about it as they are.
Absolutely.
They can't believe it.
No. It's awesome. I love it. So,
I think the
thank
history
you.
up here, though, has got a lot to do with it.
Oh,
I mean, the layout.
the layout ball was created right here.
Right here.
In the city.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So, just stuff like that.
It's very cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah,
Of course.
well, thank you, and let's shoot some birds in the morning.
Let's
do
have
it.
a good time.
Have a good time.
Mark, again, thank you. Thank you for everybody listening in, tuning in, and until the next one. We'll see you guys.
See ya.